Hey friends, today we're sewing a sleep mask, a perfect beginner's project, and in this video you will be able to see every single step. So you can relax and sew along. The free sewing pattern is available on my website, the link is in the video description down below. If you don't want to miss the next sewing tutorials, feel free to subscribe to my channel, and if you like the sleep mask, I'm very happy about every thumbs up. In this tutorial I'll be using my normal sewing machine, the Singer HD 6335M. But what do we actually need to sew the sleep mask? 15 centimeters of fabric, 40 centimeters of 2 centimeter wide elastic band, optional 15 times 25 centimeter interfacing, ideally sewing needles that are suitable for your fabric, i.e. universal, jersey or stretch, matching thread, a standard presser foot, scissors, a seam ripper, a measuring tape, tailor's chalk or a colored pencil. And with that, we want to start with the sleeping mask project. And because that's a really perfect beginner's project, I will really explain all the basics, what you have to keep in mind, and what you see in front of you on us. I chose a fabric with a very soft surface, which should be very comfy. And here we got two pattern pieces. One time the big size, one time the normal size. Because we're doing one sleep mask with interfacing and one without. The one with padding I'm doing for the big size. There's not a huge difference other than you just simply sew the interfacing onto one layer. Of course, because we're doing two masks, we need two elastic bands. Those two are now 40 centimeters in length. Of course, you can just measure the right length for yourself. Just for orientation, I got a head circumference of around 59 to 60 centimeters. And yeah, if you got a smaller head, then you can also choose 35 centimeters. Then also very important, on the sewing pattern piece you see this arrow, and this one shows you how to lay the pattern piece on top of your fabric, as this is showing the weaving direction, and you can just look at your fabric, and then if you see the vertical lines on it, then you know how to put the sewing pattern piece on top of it. Yeah, this pattern piece is like a final version for the big size, and the normal one I'm using was just a sample, so don't be confused why the arrow is just on the big pattern piece. Then of course we got the seam allowance, as we will sew onto the inner line in the end. The seam allowance is 1 centimeter. And now we're just going to put our pattern pieces onto our fabric, and as we always need two pieces for the mask, we have those now on 2 layers of fabric, and we're just gonna pin everything in place. So now we can remove our pins. And now we lay our two sleep mask fabric pieces with the left side, so the inner side of fabric, showing to us. So you can see we got a left and a right fabric side. The right one is the one that will be later visible on the outside. And now we're just going to take our pattern piece and a pen. Usually you will probably not do this, but because the middle section is quite a critical one, we're gonna mark the line we want to sew on. Especially when you have not sewn many projects so far, I would strongly recommend this, or I would recommend this to do this always, yeah, because this is way easier when sewing. Because this is like the only critical part of a sleep mask, this nose rounding, and you can just press quite strong with a pen and then simply draw the rounding. And now, before we continue in the normal way, we will look at the variant including the interfacing. For that, we will just take one of our sleep mask fabric pieces and put that part on top of the interfacing, and we will fix that all the way around with pins. And when we did this, we will sew this on very narrow with the sewing machine. And of course we're doing everything with the normal sewing foot, with the presser foot. And I got the stitch length on 2.5 and the needle position on the right. And then without any stress, we start to sew this on very narrow to the edge. Now we will take our scissors and cut the leftover interfacing. So in the next step, we will have a look at the elastic band and the get together of the two fabric pieces. For that, we got our fabric piece with the right side facing upwards in front of us, and now place the elastic band quite in the middle, a little bit above the middle or the center height of the sleep mask. So we're going to do this in this manner on both outer edges. So we fixed that. And now, for safety reasons, the elastic band is way too long. So we will fix it with a pin so we don't sew it on in the wrong way when we will close the sleeping mask in any moments. So we're just going to fold it on top of each other and then take the pin and fix it. Now we can remove the clips for a second, and then we will take the other fabric piece and we'll lay this right sides facing on top of each other, and then we will take our clips and start in the middle of the nose rounding. Yeah, make sure that everything lays clean on top of each other, and then we start to fix everything with clips. For the top edge, there's a very important detail, which we will look in any moment. So that's it. But our sleeping mask, of course, should have in the end the right fabric on the outside. And this is where we got this flip open at the top. So we remind us with several clips that this is the flip open, because we will start on the right side of the flip open to sew and end on the left side. And through this opening, you will get the final sleeping mask sides. Of course, I also did this for the other sleeping mask without interfacing. And as soon as we got this all ready, we can switch to the sewing machine. So, and by that, we want to sew this together. The needle position is in the middle, the stitch length is roughly 2.5. And make sure that you lock your seam properly. So make 2, 3, or 4 stitches back and then forth, and then you can start your real seam. This is very important for the flip open, because you don't want the seam to tear apart. And then sew with the edge of the presser foot on the edges of the fabric layers. And when you surroundings, guide your fabric actively. Always stay calm, don't rush it. For very precise orientation, you can always look out for the tip of the presser foot, that this is always aligning with the edges of the fabric, and then you get a nice and clean rounding. So now we slowly get to our rounded nose passage. And there I just gonna slowly tip onto the sewing machine pedal. You can also do this with the hand wheel. Just don't hurry. So, of course, we did this in this video for both our sleeping mask, and now we take our scissors, because when we turn everything inside out, there should be not so much fabric collecting. So this is the reason why we cut some parts of the seam allowance. Of course, don't cut too narrow to the seams. Do this very carefully. And also, we will do this just to the top rounding. And then we're just gonna turn everything inside out. So, and now what we can already see at the top is the flip open. And we gotta take some clips and now pull it a little bit to both sides. I think then it's a little more easier. And now we just flip those edges inwards, or fold those edges inwards. And yeah, you can just check if this aligns with the straight top edge. And then you just got to take clips and fix all this. So it's logical, or the logic is that this flip open just looks the same way as the other top edges. And all the rest, I always roll the both fabric sides between my fingers, and in that manner that you directly can see like the clean seam. So both fabric layers lay in the same manner on top of each other, and I always use clips to fix those, as this will get you a little more clean result. And of course we did this for both of our sleeping masks, and now we're gonna switch back to the sewing machine. And now we're gonna do a top stitch seam with a stitch length 4 and then needle position on the right. So we will be doing our top stitch seam very narrow to the fabric edge. And we're going to start at the back end of the flip open. And of course, because I'm doing two sleep mask sizes, I'm going to do this for the second mask as well. Yeah, but for now that's it. And now we're going to have a look at the finished sleep masks. If you enjoyed the video, then I'm definitely happy about every thumbs up. Write me in the comments how you liked the video, and if you got any more questions, please let me know. See you in the next video. Until then, have fun sewing.